Tonight, Bindoon firefight, 2 homes destroyed and a surprise scorcher tomorrow sparks fresh grief for fireys. Sealed with a kiss, the Danish rejoice as Queen Mary takes the throne. Not enough teachers in WA, concern over the first day back for Perth students. The demon raising hell at the Australian Open, Matthew Pavlich live with the latest. And your exclusive Perth property report for 2024. Special advice for buyers and sellers.
This is 9 News Perth with Tracy Vo.
Good evening. Perth's searing summer of bushfires has claimed another 2 homes, this time northeast of the city in the Shire of Gingin. 9 News taken inside the fire zone this afternoon as a late wind change and high overnight temperatures spark concern for fireys fighting the flames.
6,000 acres of bushland sprinkled with properties tonight, either burnt or ablaze. Gingin, Bindoon and Chittering all in the firing line.
We had scorching weather conditions and challenging winds, which ended up being a nightmare.
On the ground stands this blue cottage while its surrounds smoulder. Its family of 2 decades fighting into the night to save it.
We had water bombers and us. We didn't get to bed till about 1:30 last night, just putting out spot fires and stuff.
The charred decking showing just how close flames came to engulfing their home.
I feel a lot better today than I actually did yesterday. I'll be quite frank, because the reports we had when we were coming up was basically all gone.
Not so lucky this property on part of a planned $100 million country club. It's one of 2 homes confirmed destroyed in the blazes started by lightning. The estate's partly built racetrack still visible from the air. Helen and Jim Selkirk don't know the fate of their home, escaping while celebrating Helen's birthday.
Well, I've got vintage vehicles, so we managed to get 2 of them out. One's still home in the shed. Whether it's still there or not, we don't know.
It could take another 3 days for them to get home. Nationals MP and firefighter of 25 years, Martin Aldridge's own newly built property suffering damage.
We simply don't have enough resources to manage a fire of this size in the conditions that we are experiencing.
One of the significant challenges we have here in WA is just the size of the state.
The fire that tore through here yesterday was one of 112 burning, a jump on 30% on the day before, as fires blaze in every corner of the state.
I do want to pay tribute to our career and volunteer firefighters who were out again for their Herculean efforts.
And Conor McGovern live from Gingin tonight. Fireys were concerned about a wind change. Has that happened, Conor?
Tracy, it's just starting to kick up now, and while its impacts are yet to be felt, what local authorities have been telling me today is they're truly worried about what tonight's winds will bring. As such, firefighters, they remain on hand and prepared here, hard at work at the Gingin Incident Response Centre. It's a hive of activity down here, and those firefighters, they're supported by our aerial aircraft, including one sent over from New South Wales. Now, the bushfires in the area, they've been downgraded to a watch and act level, but the danger, it's far from over. The local weather bureau today upgrading its forecast. We're now expecting temperatures of up to 41 degrees. Those hot, dry, windy conditions, they're not going to make anything easier for those battling the blazes on the ground, and it won't be until those conditions clear, Tracy, that we finally might be out of the woods.
All right, Conor, thanks for the update. Child abuse squad detectives are in Broome tonight as part of an ongoing investigation into historic child sex offences. Ezra Holt, we understand they're at a home once lived in by former Catholic Bishop Christopher Saunders.
Well, Tracy is the bishop who has been under investigation by the Vatican after it launched a probe into his behaviour in 2022. Christopher Saunders has always denied the allegations. He did step down from his post as Bishop of Broome in 2021. A previous police investigation concluded with no charges being laid. Tracy, tonight we understand police have told us a person is currently assisting with its inquiries.
Ezra, thank you. Australia officially has its first Queen. Hobart-born Mary ascending to Denmark's throne alongside her husband Frederick. Thousands of adoring Danes flooded the streets of Copenhagen, waving Danish and Australian flags.
A crowning glory, royally sealed with a kiss. To the delight of tens of thousands gathered outside Christiansborg Palace. King Frederick X and Queen Mary, Australian-born, now a Danish sovereign. This day has been decades in the making, but in line with the low-key style monarchy here, there was no coronation and little ceremony. but its significance for the Danes abundantly clear. Every vantage point a sea of red and white flags. And there were some true blue ones as well. Sheridan and her family, originally from Brisbane. What's it like being an Aussie in Copenhagen right now?
It's really exciting. It's fun walking around with a kangaroo because we stand out.
Mary's such an amazing role model for young girls all over the world, and she's so elegant both in her style and her actions.
The historic occasion began at the Amalienborg Palace, with the changing of the guard before the changing of the throne. Visitors on the freezing morning given a warm welcome from down under.
Today, I think Australians want to show their support for the new King and Queen.
It was just after 1:30 when crowds had their first glimpse of Mary waving from the car on the way to Christiansborg Palace, along with Frederick and their son, 18-year-old Christian, the incoming heir. Close behind them, the much-loved and long-serving Margrethe II, riding in the 19th century golden wedding carriage made for the 50th anniversary of her great-great-grandparents. The mood jubilant. Most throne accessions are sombre after the death of a monarch, but today, with the first voluntary abdication in 800 years, it was all celebration. The official proceedings started and finished within minutes. Queen Margrethe signed the Declaration of Abdication at a Council of State meeting in Christiansborg. Frederick invited to take her seat. God save the king, she said, and she left the palace, letting her son have the moment. And what a moment it was. An emotional Frederick greeting crowds from the balcony. He wiped away tears as the Prime Minister officially proclaimed him king, with 9 hurrahs, echoed by the Danish people. His speech was brief. It's a responsibility I take on with respect, pride and great joy, he said. I'm going to need all the support I can get from my beloved wife, from my family, from you. Then he was joined by his queen, dressed in an elegant white gown, and the reaction was loud and clear. Their 4 children then emerged, a united family front, following questions in recent days about the state of the couple's marriage. Frederick and Mary holding hands arm in arm. That kiss today and those tears reminiscent of their 2004 wedding.
While Frederick was born into royalty, this completes an extraordinary journey for his wife. When she first came here, she was Mary Donaldson. Now she's greeted as Queen Mary.
3 visitors from Sydney among those celebrating coming within metres of royalty.
What was it like seeing them go past?
Amazing. Beautiful. Could not have got a better view. In 10, 20, 50 years, we'll be thinking we were there when Mary became Queen. And Frederick too, I guess, is there.
Well wishes coming too from other royal families. King Charles saying, I look forward to working with you on ensuring that the enduring bond between our countries and our families remains strong. As a display of 5,000 fireworks lit up the skies over Copenhagen, Australian celebrations went into the night.
Even though, yes, we've had to hand her over, sort of officially, she will always, have a place in our heart.
And Europe correspondent Brett McLeod's in Copenhagen. Brett, what next for the new King and Queen?
Well, they've started their first full day as the new monarchs by going to the Danish Parliament, where they were given an official reception there by the Prime Minister and other members of Parliament. This is still a constitutional monarchy, after all. There were speeches there, there was a choir and then a small get-together. And that is the beginning of their day and the rest of their lives as monarchs. They'll be returning here to Amalienborg Palace. And also a nice touch too. This is the land, of course, of Hans Christian Andersen. There's been a dusting of snow overnight, so bit of a fairy tale finish to a big 24 hours here, Tracy.
Indeed. Brett, thank you. For nearly 20 years, she was Australia's princess. Now she's Queen Consort, but still our Mary. Her position cemented among European royalty today and celebrated 16,000 kilometres away at home in Tasmania.
Stepping up, Denmark's new queen. The girl from Taroona, now the toast of Tassie. From their living rooms, Australians watched as history was made.
I actually got quite emotional when I saw her standing on the balcony.
Mary's cousin Jacqueline overwhelmed by the moment.
I actually don't know how to put it into words of how proud we all are of her. I really don't. It's very emotional and it's a very big time for the family.
Her mother passed away long before she became princess.
I like to think she's been part and parcel of this last weekend. I'm sure she has.
Henrietta Donaldson's best friend Christine, confident Mary will do Australia proud.
I know she will do a wonderful job. She's a very caring, responsible, kindly person.
On the river in Hobart, the Pink Ladies, today the Red Queens.
Cheers to Queen Mary!
A paddle out in honour of our Mary.
Oh, this is wonderful. Tasmanian. I went to Taroona High. We're all behind Queen Mary.
Another splash of red and white at Tasmania's Government House as locals wrote well wishes.
I think she will do an amazing job, and he's a lucky man.
Oh, this is just a fantastic day for Queen Mary. She has carried herself in a way that I think just brings enormous support and pride to all Australians.
Last night, landmarks lit up. The Tasman Bridge, a nod to the Danish monarchy.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Very eloquent, respectful, beautiful and born to be a queen. So congratulations.
In Hobart, Madison Scott, 9 News.
An industrial standoff over pay at our ports, including here in Fremantle, could stretch for months, threatening jobs and the cost of clothes and white goods. Tonight, DP World and the unions are calling for intervention.
Problems at our ports, tonight a warning there's worse to come.
We expected this to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and maybe months and months and months, and there's an escalation of that and a snowball effect on that.
DP World is one of our major port operators, with clothing and white goods for major retailers flowing in, while Australian meat and produce is leaving our shores. The company prices the dispute at $84 million every week, a cost that now could be bound for consumers.
We need to make sure that we've got goods moving around the country.
Tonight, rolling 2-hour stoppages continue, plus longer pauses in some ports.
So that's a little bit like parking a truck in a drive-through at McDonald's and saying, look, I'm parking this one here.
We need politicians in Australia to stop dancing to the tune of the royal family of Dubai and back Australian workers.
The current offer is for an 8% sign-on bonus, followed by an 8% pay rise for the current year and 8% next year, plus added super, with company figures putting the average current wage around $130,000 per year. The union's banking on unity between Australia's shippers and shoppers.
Pay rises for Australian families means money in the Australian economy, in all of our local economies around the country.
Both sides want government intervention, but tonight there's no sign of that.
We think all parties should come back to the table and negotiate in good faith. We do know that this needs to be resolved as quickly as it can be.
While it's the ports threatening prices, the government may choose the supermarkets for intervention, with an ACCC investigation now looming. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
The countdown is on for students to return to the classroom, but concerned tonight some WA schools won't have enough teachers. It comes as the state government flies in dozens of educators from overseas.
They're the international class of 2024. Primary and secondary teachers brought in to curb WA's shortfall. Among them, engaged British couple Robert Purcell and Elise Stork, who are off to Headland Senior High School.
We wanted to be immersed in different communities, like diverse communities as well, get to know the culture of Australia, not necessarily just be in like metropolitan area.
93 of the 103 recruits from the UK and Republic of Ireland, South Africa, New Zealand and Canada will fill regional vacancies. But just a fortnight out from the start of the new school year, the Education Minister doesn't know exactly how many teachers we're short.
There are enough teachers in the system to ensure there will be a teacher in front of every classroom on day one. There will not be a shortage.
The Teachers' Union says late last year there were 2,000 vacancies.
There will be schools across Metro and regional WA with unfilled positions at the commencement of this year, given the numbers that we're aware of.
Also concerned, some teachers might not be fully qualified or only be relief. Other than those from New Zealand, the recruits have been offered a 4-year visa, with the expectation they'll spend at least 3 years at the school they've been allocated. The union says better salaries and conditions will be needed to ensure they and local teachers stay. Jamie Freestone, 9 News.
Foreign Minister Penny Wong is tonight on her way to the Middle East for a week-long visit marking 100 days since the October 7 Hamas terror attack on Israel. Minister Wong will use her trip to renew calls for a ceasefire and advocate for the avoidance of further regional conflict.
Australia is not a central player in the Middle East, but we are a respected voice. And I'll be using our voice to advocate for a pathway out of this conflict.
Ms Wong will meet survivors of the October 7 attack as well as Palestinians impacted by Israeli settler violence in the West Bank. In less than 24 hours, the race to the White House will begin. Donald Trump is hot favourite, holding a significant lead in the battleground state of Iowa. But tomorrow, those who brave the cold will have their say.
A convoy through the snow-covered cornfields. It seems far away, but it's here in Iowa where the race to the White House begins.
Saving America begins with President Trump and begins tomorrow here in Iowa.
The caucuses mark the first test of the 2024 election cycle, not just because they'll be the coldest on record.
It is freezing cold here.
But because the outcome can help build or break a candidate's momentum.
But these caucuses are your personal chance to score the ultimate victory over all of the liars, cheaters, thugs, perverts, frauds, crooks, freaks, creeps, and other quite nice people.
In a final push to secure support, the former president was armed with a large pile of pizzas, and tonight an even larger lead in the polls.
Next to God, he's one of the greatest men going. He's the best president I think we ever had in the United States.
The question is, will it be a race to second place for Donald Trump's rivals, or could Iowa reshape this race?
The momentum and the energy on the ground is strong.
You have the ability to change the trajectory of American politics.
On a night where turnout matters, it's the weather, which is rapidly becoming every candidate's biggest threat. Who can convince the most Iowans to caucus in this unbearable cold?
Do you think that cold's going to stop people from caucusing tomorrow?
Definitely.
Voters must place their ballot in person. With that rule, it's a cold caucus ahead.
So brave the weather and go out and save America, because that's what you're doing. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it.
In Des Moines, Iowa, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
Some breaking news now from world number 10 Alex de Minaur's first match at the Australian Open. Live to Matthew Pavlich at Rod Laver Arena. Pav, it's game, set and match.
Yeah, it just happened, Trace. Alex de Minaur is through to the second round, which is great news after his Canadian opponent Milos Raonic retired hurt just moments ago. Raonic started the match very strongly, though, defending a set point to claim the opener in a tiebreak. The Aussie then showing his trademark grit to fight back and claim the second, despite it taking 4 attempts to get there. Here's the moment de Minaur levelled the match at 1 set apiece.
That one's wide, and it was a struggle, but de Minaur has got the second set. 6 games to 3, we're all tied up, 1 set apiece.
Yeah, so all tied up, and then literally only a short moment ago I was watching the big screen behind me, Trace, and I could see Raonic making his way up to the net saying that he was done. So he's injured, but there's so much action on here at the moment, only 50 metres or so away. Another Aussie is in action. Rinky Hijikata is on court 3. The atmosphere is absolutely buzzing on a big night for our homegrown players. I'll be back a little later in spot with all the day's highlights.
A huge night there indeed. Pav with the breaking news. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Back home to where it's been another hot and humid Perth day. Brittany Hoskins is live from Matilda Bay. A warm night ahead, Britt.
With another summer scorcher to follow. 41 the top tomorrow, Tracy. And we won't get a break from those warm nights at least until the end of the week. Perth dipped to a low of 22.3 overnight and we hit a top of 34.4 degrees before midday. Right now it's around 27. While we woke to sunshine here today, Esperance saw severe storms copping 82 mils of rain, most of it falling within 2 hours this morning. Looking ahead on the satellite, showers and gusty thunderstorms to continue over the Kimberley tomorrow due to a tropical low over the top end. Clear skies ahead for Perth. Tracy, I'll have all the details coming up a little later on.
All right, Britt, we'll see you soon. Thank you. On a mission to clean up outer space, next the Aussie company with big plans for the year ahead. Perth CBD on the bounce back after a bumper festive season spend. Princess Diana and Barbie in an Australian-led charge at the Critics' Choice Awards. And Princess Anne a muse for high-end men's fashion. Foot traffic through our CBD has returned to pre-COVID levels. The Lord Mayor revealing today more than 1 million people visited the city in December, with a record $400 million spent.
Per head of population, it puts us as the #1 capital city for the month of December.
The Rio Tinto Christmas lights trail, the biggest draw card of the festive season, attracting almost 460,000 people. Australia's first commercial satellite is heading for California to be launched from SpaceX. It's hoped the groundbreaking technology will help keep our essential services online and stop space becoming a dumping ground.
Outer space, an expansive void. But not as empty as you think. A dramatic increase in satellite launches and rising volumes of space debris now causing out-of-this-world chaos.
Not just with broken down satellites, but with collisions, we could be in a space where there would be no safe way for humans to travel to space.
Space Machines Company, along with the University of Technology Sydney, now on a mission to solve a universal problem.
More than 50% of satellites have failures in their first year of operations, and currently there is no solution. The only solution is to put more of them up there.
By 2030, there'll be 70,000 satellites at risk of becoming space junk. But that's all about to change. Meet Optimus, a 250-kilogram satellite manoeuvrable from Earth, heading up a roadside assistance program in space.
Repairing, upgrading, disposing of satellites in orbit.
Rigorously tested and assembled over the past 4 months, it will now travel to Florida for takeoff.
This vehicle will go on the SpaceX Falcon rocket, and once it gets to space, it will separate.
This first orbital servicing vehicle will focus on inspecting satellites and diagnosing their issues. That data will then be used to fit out future Optimi with the tools needed for repairs.
The top part carries high-resolution imagers that actually help us look at objects in different ways, in different spectrums, that helps us understand what the problem might be for a satellite.
Really represents the future of the space industry in Australia.
One small step for Australia, one giant leap for the world. Madison Scott, 9 News.
Aussies have won big at the 29th Critics' Choice Awards in LA. Elizabeth Debicki took out Best Supporting Actress in a drama series for her role as Diana in The Crown. Sarah Snook won Best Actress in a drama series for Succession.
This job was extraordinary and such a joy to go into work every day and play dress-ups, really.
Margot Robbie missed out, but her film Barbie took Best Comedy. Meantime, Princess Anne is becoming a men's fashion icon, with high-end Italian brand Fendi using her as a muse for its latest collection at Milan Fashion Week. The designer labelling her the chicest woman in the world. WA's hot property forecast is next. Will prices keep going up? Our experts tell us what's in store for 2024. When we can expect to see the world's first trillionaire. A molten mess. Lava consumes homes in an Iceland volcano blast. And they travelled from the UK to buy the new Perth mint coin fit for a king. We're right now riding high in a prolonged Perth property boom, but for buyers and sellers, there's some must-know tips to success. Tonight, a look at what's in store for 2024 and just how high are prices tipped to go.
2023 saw Perth surge to the top of the hot property market.
It's gone! Congratulations!
Sales sealed in record time and property prices jumping 8.2% in the past 12 months. The median house price right now $660,000, but that's fueled an historic housing shortage.
Because there's only 3,600 homes on the market, people who want to step out and put their home on the market don't have a house to buy. So it's just a vicious circle.
Tonight, there's fears more pain is on the way for those trying to get into the market.
If things
continue this way, it won't be affordable anymore.
Experts predicting property prices will rise a further 8% this year, bumping the median house price by another $52,000.
There are two drivers in the property market, that is population growth and wages growth.
The only solution to that in the long term in a sustainable way is to build more homes where people want to live.
The drive to build expected to see prices soar again in 2024. The Real Estate Institute of Western Australia predicts we'll need 24,000 new builds in the next year alone to cater the growing population, but so far we're only completing 14,000 annually, a shortfall of 10,000 homes. The state government recently announcing interest-free loans up to $300,000 to help builders complete unfinished homes.
In the middle, we're coming towards the end of a building logjam.
Claremont real estate agent Paulette Contesi also fears for her fellow realtors in 2024.
There were 3,600 homes on the market, but there are 7,100 real estate agents. So for every home, there are 2 real estate agents out there battling to get those listings.
Meaning it won't just be buyers squeezed out of the market.
Unless the market starts to relax, there's probably going to be some agents looking at their future.
Conor McGovern, 9 News.
Here's a statistic that'll make your blood boil. Our richest Australians making $1.5 million every hour. Let me repeat that. $1.5 million every hour. They've doubled their fortunes in the past 3 years.
Australia is home to more than 140 billionaires, most living quiet but extravagant lives out of the spotlight. But new research shows their wealth is exploding more than we might have realised. According to Oxfam, that group of billionaires increased their wealth 70% over the last 3 years. And the top 3 richest, Gina Rinehart, Andrew Forrest and Harry Triguboff, raked in $1.5 million every hour. At the same time, separate research today outlined that a majority of Australians are feeling some sort of financial difficulty. The researchers say that puts a keen focus on stage 3 tax cuts and should mean wealth, windfall and estate taxes are considered too.
And what we're saying is it's critical at this point that governments intervene to fix that system to ensure that we here in Australia, but also our responsibilities internationally, are able to be met.
And if you think that Australian billionaires have it good, the report also predicts the world's first trillionaire will be seen within the next decade. Right now, Elon Musk is in the box seat.
A community in Iceland's southwest has been evacuated as a volcanic system erupted for the second time in a month. Homes in the fishing town of Grindavik burst into flames as the volcano spewed 1,200-degree molten lava. No lives were in danger. It's been a special day at Perth Mint, unveiling its first coin bearing the face of His Majesty King Charles III. The limited edition series didn't last long, selling out in store and online in just 3 hours.
A strike to mark an historic moment.
To be able to be involved in striking the first silver coin with the effigy of King Charles III is a very historic occasion.
Hundreds queuing at Perth Mint, desperate to buy this $1 coin for $130, featuring the face of our new king.
From 11 o'clock last night. My grandchildren will probably say, oh, this is the crazy grandfather that queued up.
Only 7,500 limited edition coins up for grabs, and the demand isn't just local.
I come from the UK, from Devon, so we planned a holiday to come over here, specifically to be here.
Charles is the 6th monarch to appear on our coins, Queen Elizabeth's effigy having featured for the past 70 years.
It'll be more valuable and as it gets older, I hope.
As tradition, the effigy of the new monarch is facing the opposite direction of his predecessor, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
He doesn't have the crown on it, but that was his wish.
By midday, Perth Mint sold out of its coins online and in store, with just a small allocation set aside for European customers.
We expect the demand to be high, the mintage is low, the value will always drive up.
Rachel Clifford, 9 News.
We'll explain a bizarre plane project next. An F-111 parked in a man's driveway. So what now? And mystery solved, Dave Warner reveals what really happened to his missing baggy greens. But back to Matthew Pavlich at Melbourne Park now. Pav, the Demon is through to the second round.
Yeah, which is great news, Trace, but it isn't the way he probably wanted to advance. But Alex de Minaur has outlasted his first opponent. Raonic retires. The Demon marches past Milos on a huge day for homegrown talent. Greener pastures why Cam's finally found his fit at number 4. And pre-season pain, the Eagles' body blows keep coming as a premiership star is in doubt for round 1. Welcome back to Melbourne Park, where world number 10 Alex de Minaur is through to the second round of the Australian Open after his Canadian opponent Milos Raonic was forced to retire hurt. De Minaur headlining a host of homegrown talent in action today, with 11 Aussies on show across the courts.
A home grand slam, the perfect opportunity for the Demon to show off his signature hustle. There's the anticipation of de Minaur. But Raonic and his weapon of an arm, very hard to break. The Canadian taking the first set in a tie-break. But de Minaur's fight never in question. Oh, he's got it. The Aussie taking the second and gearing up for the challenge ahead. A bit of Raonic's own medicine. But he didn't need to. Raonic unexpectedly retiring hurt in the third. Milos, unfortunately, has had to pull the pin here. De Minaur through to the second round. Alexei Popyrin's straight set win over Mark Polman's booking a second round matchup with Novak Djokovic. The world number 1 coming off a 4-hour marathon against 18-year-old Croatian Dino Prismic. James Duckworth going down in 5 to Frenchman Luca Van Asscher. Number 3 seed Daniil Medvedev advancing after his French opponent Terence Atman retired hurt. And 7th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas through in 4 against Belgian Zizou Bergs. In the women's draw, WA Storm Hunter thundering winners past Italian Sara Errani. Oh yes, what a point! Dropping only 7 games, her best ever result at Melbourne Park. She's done it! Daria Saville bowing out in a deciding set to Poland's Magdalena Frech, while West Aussie 18-year-old wildcard Taylor Preston no match for 19th seed Elena Svitolina. Reigning Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova stunned by qualifier Diana Yastremska. And US Open champion Coco Gauff through in straight sets over Anna Karolina Schmedlova. Joel Saratzis, 9 News.
Recalled West Aussie Cameron Green is ready to live up to the pressure of batting at number 4 for Australia when he makes his test return on Wednesday. The all-rounder admitting he wasn't expecting to be deployed as an opener before landing in his preferred position.
Few people were happier to see Steve Smith secure the opener gig than Cameron Green.
So excited when I heard the news, but yeah, I thought it was about 95% chance of opening.
After 24 tests batting at 6, Green was expecting to face the new ball. Relieved to resume a new role, one he's made his own in the Sheffield Shield.
And bowls to Green, he drives, there's his 100 down the ground, over pitching leg stump, 4 runs to Green.
I feel like number 4 is my natural game where, yeah, I can take my time and settle in. I've always felt maybe a touch rushed at 6, especially after Heady. He makes it look a bit too easy at number 5.
Out of the side for the past 6 months, the all-rounder earning his recall through his batting brilliance, eager to repay the faith shown by selectors.
It's always nice to hear, but you've got to also showcase it on the main stage, so yeah, I look forward to that.
Admitting he feels for state teammate Cameron Bancroft.
Couldn't have done anything more the last couple of years, and yeah, obviously sympathetic for him. I'm sure if he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll get his chance soon.
In the BBL, the Scorchers with a simple equation against arch rivals the Sydney Sixers tomorrow night.
It's a must-win game. They're trying to finish second, we're trying to finish second.
The winner will secure the double chance for finals. Marcus Harris locked in for the starting 11.
He'll come in, he'll do a job. He's a Perth boy, he knows how to play in Perth conditions, so yeah, we're really excited to see what he can do, and it's good to have him back home.
Ready to bolster the batting stocks with Laurie Evans departing after tomorrow's Pride clash.
Sport is the backbone of our country. We all want to belong, and sport can give everyone that.
Bonnie Rayner, 9 News.
Fresh injury concerns at the Eagles with Liam Ryan and Kobe Bergil sent for scans on hamstring issues. While it's hoped Bergil's is only minor, there are fears Ryan's is more serious as another premiership hero struggles to be fit for round 1.
Less than a week back and Liam Ryan's already grounded. The high flyer becoming limping Liam, barely able to walk, his right hamstring leaving him trudging off Lathlane.
Really disappointing if it's a bad one, but let's wait and see.
It's another setback for Ryan, managing only 3 games last year, requiring surgery on his left hamstring.
It starts in the off-season and what the players do and how they go about it, how they turn up and what kind of program we put in place.
Also of concern, Dom Sheed, recovering from an ankle stress fracture.
He's probably the one who's furthest away, so I would have thought he'd start running in the next week or two. So he'll be pushing for round 1.
Harley Reid giving Adam Simpson reason for optimism, the coach with big raps on the top draft pick.
Enjoy and embrace the hype around it, and the fact is I think he's going to back it up.
Looking to unleash the talented teenager off half-back, but mindful of his ability around the contest.
He seems to have his most presence around the centre, around the ball, so I think we need to respect that.
Simpson eager for his new look side to tackle a new era front on.
We're trying to chase an identity that we don't have. You know, we're starting from scratch in that space. So we start with the contest, we defend as well as we can, and our ball movement needs to get its own identity as well.
The Dockers not without their injury scares. Luke Ryan heading straight for treatment on a tweaked ankle, not returning to match sim. Hayden Young showing his promise around the footy. Former Saint Dan McKenzie joining the club as a train-on player. Paddy Sweeney, 9 News.
Ange Postecoglou has praised his side after Tottenham salvaged a 2-2 draw against Manchester United. Spurs coming from behind twice, despite having 11 players unavailable due to injury, now sitting 1 point outside the top 4.
This group of players just, every time they've had to deal with adversity, just do it in an outstanding manner, and couldn't be proud of them. I thought a standing effort. I thought our football was fantastic. I thought we were unlucky not to win the game.
Elsewhere, Perth Glory's 15th month winless away run continuing, putting up a strong fight against league leaders Wellington, but defeated 4-3. And, well, they've endured decades of NFL suffering, but tonight Detroit is in raptures, taking on the LA Rams and their former quarterback Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. The Lions advancing in heart-stopping fashion, 24-23.
One more knee and business is done. And Detroit, for the first time in 32 years, your Lions have won a playoff game.
Meanwhile, disaster in Dallas as highly fancied Cowboys crashed and burned, thrashed by Green Bay 48-32, much to the displeasure of a billionaire owner, Jerry Jones. Another big day here with record crowd for the first Monday of the AO after massive crowd yesterday. Tomorrow, so much action. Thanasi Kokonakis, Ola Tomljanovic, along with fellow Aussies Max Purcell and Kim Birrell, while high seeds, Alexander Zverev, Jessica Pegula and also Grigor Dimitrov. Trace, please tune in. Lots of action here at Melbourne Park.
Bet the atmosphere is electric there, Pav. Thank you. What really happened to Dave Warner's missing baggy greens? We've got that update for you next. And meet the bloke rebuilding a fighter jet in his driveway. And a surprise scorcher tomorrow, Britt.
Tracy, the heat isn't finished with us yet. We'll have to endure a few more warm nights before a cool change. I'll have all the details soon.
This next story could make you appreciate your neighbours a little more. Perhaps they're not rebuilding a jet in their driveway. Harley Jones piecing together one of the world's greatest long-range strike aircraft, an F-111.
It served Australia for almost 4 decades at a window-shattering 1 kilometre per second. But the F-111 was retired in 2010, except at the home of snake catcher Harley Jones.
Righto, mate. Why have you got the fuselage of an F-111 parked in the driveway of your home?
Well, I guess for the age of about 5 years old, when I first sat in the cockpit of an F-111, they became a bit of an obsession.
Harley's driveway project, raising the collective brows of US military types, given F-111 parts can fit on F-14 fighters with the Iranian Air Force.
Bit of touchiness about that. I had to go through the Department of Homeland Security in the States and everything to get parts and get an ITAR permit.
What are you trying to do here?
I don't know.
Harley would spend COVID learning how to weld and wire to fuel his passion.
All the lights come on, all the instruments will run, all the screens will have things behind them, and yeah, it'll look like an operational aircraft.
And the neighbours don't seem to mind the next-door airfield.
Yeah, a bit of surprise. We couldn't figure out
for a while what's happening.
Terrible weather today, mate. Not very good for flying.
Yeah, no, it's I nearly got flooded out last night, so lucky it's up on the chocks because it would have floated away, I think.
That probably means Harley can turn his attention to his next fixer-upper, the half-cabin cruiser named Unsinkable 2. Mike Dalton, 9 News.
Revelations tonight. David Warner's missing baggy greens weren't missing at all. The retiring cricketer taking to social media on the eve of his last test at the SCG to claim a backpack with his prized caps was taken from his luggage, but that wasn't the case. It turns out the bag was just buried amongst the team's pile of luggage at their Sydney hotel. One of the finance world's greatest rivalries has ended a new chapter. Apple now toppled as the most valuable listed company.
We may be talking about multi-trillion-dollar companies, but they're still jostling each other out of the way. For the first time in 2 years, Microsoft has overtaken Apple as the biggest listed company in the world, worth over 4.3 trillion Australian dollars. In the age of AI, investors seem to be leaning more towards Microsoft, but don't feel too bad for Apple. It could still afford to cover the superannuation of every single Australian and have plenty of change left over. As for our much smaller share market, steady today, quiet with Wall Street closed tonight for Martin Luther King Day. But the company behind Supercheap Auto, Rebel Sport, BCF and Macpac announced a record revenue and its shares hit their highest level ever. And the Australian dollar is buying less than 67 US cents, 61 euro cents and 52.5 British pence.
2 men have rolled onto the wrong side of the law in our southern suburbs. The pair's acrobatic attempts to avoid overhead CCTV in vain outside these Bibra Lake storage units. The 33 and 45-year-olds later arrested and charged. A surprise spike in the temperature tomorrow. Brett Hoskins live from Matilda Bay next.
Welcome back. Another warm day across Perth, making way for a beautiful evening here in Matilda Bay. If you were hoping for some relief from the heat, you will have to wait a little longer though. Perth peaked at more than 34 degrees today. Following a sticky night, 22.3, as cool as it got. Right now, it's around 25 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite, tropical lows along a monsoon trough will continue to bring heavy rains and storms in our north, while a low-pressure trough lingers near the west coast. It should move inland from midweek when we will see a cool change. Around the country tomorrow, showers for Brisbane and Sydney, wind easing in Melbourne, a warm 30 at the top, Adelaide partly cloudy and heavy rainfall for Darwin. The same expected for Kununurra, a top of 31 there, possible storm for Marble Bar and Newman. To the south, mostly sunny for Jurien Bay, very hot in Bunbury, 37 and 24 the top for Esperance. Checking the coastals, winds 10 to 15 knots, seas below 1 metre, swell up to 2 metres. Around the suburbs tomorrow, a scorcher ahead, 39 for Joondalup, Swanbourne and Rockingham. The chance of a thunderstorm for Kalamunda. Perth will peak at more than 40 tomorrow and it will be humid too, partly cloudy throughout the day, clear overnight, a warm 24 the minimum. Our daytime temperature will drop dramatically on Wednesday, 32 the top. We'll endure one more warm night before cooling down for the rest of the week, 28 Thursday and Friday, warming up a touch and sunny over the weekend. So Tracy, just another 2 days of the warm weather before we experience a cool change, which I'm sure many are looking forward to.
Yeah, looking forward to that relief for sure. Britt, thank you. And that's 9 News Tonight. We'll take you back to the tennis now. And don't forget, Today Perth is from 6:30 tomorrow morning with the latest live and local news updates. From the team, enjoy your evening and good night.